Welcome to Women Talk Construction, the podcast where we spotlight women and men who are straight up reshaping the world we live in. I'm Angela Gardner, one of your hosts, and I'm here with my co host, Christy Powell. How are you doing today, Christy?
I'm good. I'm excited and
Oh,
really amped up that we're diving into the energy sector today. It's been very interesting to me, and I'm ready to get electrified,
yeah.
pun intended,
Yeah.
by
And it's
our
manufacturing, right? Too. So we
yes,
have
yes.
yeah, this
We're
is, I
hitting
think, our
energy
second.
and manufacturing in the same podcast, so it's very exciting and really, really excited by our next guest story.
Yeah, and this company is building our world together with us
Hmm.
in construction. So it's all, and that's what we want to get out there, Christy, is these messages
Yes,
of these trailblazing women in non-traditional roles. And
yes.
she is definitely one of them. So today we are stoked to have Donda Bishop, VP of Energy at AFL. And I think she recently got promoted to this, and she's gonna talk a little bit about her journey and how she has just
Congratulations.
excelled. I know, but, a few more things that I know some of our other guests that will and you will love it, Michael, our editor. Donda is a Clemson grad with a degree in electrical engineering, and she is a powerhouse leader who has built a killer career blending technical know how with serious business smarts. She's driving innovation in every space, and we can't wait to hear how she's doing. Just all of it. And I don't even know how she's doing it. These women are such trailblazers. So welcome, Donda, to Women
Thank you,
Talk Construction.
ladies. Yes, thank you so much. This is such an honor and a privilege, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. You guys are super generous hostesses and have made it feel very comfortable so far. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being on. And let's kick this off with your journey because wow, you can definitely go on our website and see her bio, and it is so impressive. But tell our audience about your journey and what led you through all the various leadership roles at AFL.
Sure, sure. Well, thank you. It has been quite a few decades here. It goes back now. I just celebrated this year 30 years at AFL. So, and I have to
Wow,
I
admit,
awesome.
know. Wow.
3 decades, they go by quickly. Those of you who
Yes.
are
Mhm.
just starting out, treasure every moment because the days go by very quickly. I guess maybe the days go slow and the years go quick, right? So be attentive to the time as it flies by. But yeah, I started here, graduated from Clemson, as you mentioned, May of '94, and got married in June of '94. So love my hub, Chris. So he and I have celebrated. We're going into 31 years this year, but came out of school and started with AFL in March of '95. Story goes that I was one of over 300 people who applied for an entry level engineering position. Just put yourself into what that feels like in today's market. We're lucky if we can find 3 candidates, much less 300. So our economy is booming, and that makes wonderful opportunities
Mhm.
for women in all kinds of industries that might have felt like they were out of touch or out of reach in some cases. So I got hired as a process engineer. I got to tell you, I didn't even know what I was saying yes to. Um, it was a manufacturing environment. We make stuff. Like I like to call manufacturing making stuff from stuff. Take stuff and you turn it into other stuff. And so
Yes.
the stuff that we made was fiber optic cable that goes on electric utility grid. And so I was brought in to help those processes that do that function and run and work with people and train operators and heck train myself. So that was the beginning of the journey, and over the last 30 years it has twisted and turned. One process engineer, applications engineer, which is working with customers, and then product manager. Spent many a year as a product manager, and that just means that you're trying to manage a portfolio of products that suit the
Right.
market and the customers, right? What do they need? So probably a decade in that role. And a lot of people might think, wow, why would you ever stay in the same job, but it evolved over time. It was
Right.
one product, and then it was 2, and then it was 5, and then it was a team, and then so one title, but a lot of scope expansion over the
Right.
years.
Well, and I love hearing how pardon me. I love hearing how you made that happen. Being able to navigate sometimes is not a straight path. It's a
For
very
sure.
crooked path, and a lot of times you can, get into a role thinking that you're gonna be doing this, 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 and this, and you end up doing that, 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 and that, and at the end of the day, you've just set yourself up for the next job position, which I think is lovely, and it kind of, like, speaks to the fact that you're the VP now. You've been doing this for 30 years, finding your path, and your path was VP to energy at the end of the day, or at least today anyway. So, I'm soaking up all this innovation, and you guys are shaking up the energy market big time. What technology do you see reshaping the innovation and energy market?
Yeah, so good question. I'll say there's a ton there's a ton of momentum in the energy space right now. Little thing called AI, probably heard of it, right?
Yeah, a
Artificial
few
intelligence
times.
requires a ton of energy, right? And so the grid, which has been the electric utility grid, which has been a fairly stable place, um, uh, has met its match in terms of major demand spikes. And how does the grid respond to that? So AFL recognizes we were born into the energy space when this company was founded 40 years ago. It was serving one product into the utility market. So this is where we were born and bred. So this is our home base, but we don't assume that we know everything. And so one of the challenges, as we've seen this artificial intelligence demand impact the grid, was we said, let's just pause for a moment, be intentional about understanding how the market is changing, what the market needs, what the market's challenges are. And we were very intentional about standing up a team. About a year and a half ago now, I was asked to lead this team to help understand what does the changing electric grid mean for AFL. And so a learning, a recognition, an appreciation by our executive team to not just assume that we had all the answers, but to go and take a moment and go listen to our customers and listen to the market. Like, be intentional about asking, what is changing? What are your challenges? Challenges create opportunities. So for us, we looked at um, spending a decent amount of time, probably 3 months, just meeting with customers, suppliers,
Mhm.
vendors, and others in the ecosystem of this space to
Great
understand
wisdom to
the
those
big picture.
businesses that are
Absolutely.
listening. That is great wisdom. Pause, reflect, and survey your current clients.
That's right. What do they need? How are things changing? And then that creates for us space to innovate how we think will best be adopted by our customers. The worst thing we can do is create a solution that the market isn't calling for, and then have a solution that no one needs. Right? That's wasted time, energy, and you would have missed 5 other great opportunities that are floating by. So
Right.
we were
Yeah.
intentional about not trying to do that.
Yeah.
And that team has kind of concluded its work in terms of assessing the market. And so now we're in the absolutely named into this VP of energy position to help us take what we've learned and figure out, all right, what does it truly mean for AFL, and how do we move the ball forward? And that's, as of April 1st, what I've been chartered to do, is convert that into actions for AFL.
Well, this must be just our path today, Christy, because we
I
have
know.
heard pause a lot.
Uh-huh. And
But
sustainability.
yes, so this was just, and I think that companies and individuals, small businesses that do this
Mhm.
are going to be the ones that thrive and are successful. So, kudos to you and your team. And as we dive into the next question, about, advice and stuff, I just want to put a plug in. A lot of times when I give advice for the younger, females, even males entering any market, is go where you're valued. Go
Mhm.
where they respect you. Look them up ask your friends about that company, because guess what? You will find that if you ask anyone about AFL, they will talk about their awesome women program. They have just a little program, a big program for y'all. It's called, I think, Women Everywhere Connect. You
Mhm.
empower, you educate, you enrich, you encourage, you enhance your females there, and probably that's everyone really probably there. So
Taco
Well,
Tuesday, this coming Tuesday night, if you're interested, the We Connect team is meeting at Tipsy Taco. So
oh, okay,
oh,
I'll have
nice.
to talk to
on
Mary Ellen
290.
about that. Um,
So I do want to throw something in there in regards to what you just said, Angela. I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really important, when we're talking about advice to the next generation. One of the things I think is really important for us to do is to speak your truth in the
yeah.
interview. You're
Mm,
not going to know if you align with a company unless you speak your own truth. And you coming on board with a company, with AFL, any company, doesn't matter what company it is, and you not speaking your truth, there's no way that company can find a path forward for you that's going to be a long-term plan. And that's just something that we didn't learn in my
mm,
age group. We learned you answer the questions the right way. You make sure that but it's not that way anymore. You need to speak your truth, what matters to you, what you're involved in, why you're involved in it, because that company, AFL, and beyond, can craft a path for you that is going to be fruitful for not only you, but also the company as well. And you can both be successful. I just had to throw that in there. I apologize.
No,
No,
that
I think that's a great point, and I'll add to
yeah,
that. It is as important for us when we're interviewing talent that they fit into the organization.
Mm-hmm.
We can teach you a ton of skills, right? We can teach you what you need to know, because I can guarantee you, homage to Clemson, love the school, and have tons of gratitude there. But they didn't teach me everything I needed to know when I came to work, right? So we will teach you a lot, but you have to fit. Has to be the values. There has to be the synergies with the rest of the team. So we're as much assessing that as we are the capabilities of the person and the skills that they bring to the table. So it's definitely a two-way street. Make sure that the fit of the company is good to you, and then make sure that you have the opportunity in an interview to articulate what's
Mm-hmm.
important to you in terms of values and community, and friends, or how the team works together, work-life balance. All those things are super important these days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
that's great
great.
advice. Yeah.
So speaking of advice, I think this one's yours, Angela.
Oh no, I did. That's what she responded to, the advice question. I think,
Oh, okay.
unless
Okay.
she was adding to
Well,
yours,
I have.
Rhonda.
I'll be glad to kind of tag
Can
on
you
to that,
add
because
more?
yeah,
Yes.
because that was sort of my comment to a little bit of an aside on recruiting and hiring. But for advice for people, in especially young women who might want to try to break into this
Yes.
energy market, this traditionally male dominated field. I look back 30 years at Clemson, and I was one of maybe two females in a class. And now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's wildly different than that now, just based on the number of female engineers we get to interview. So strangely, I would think it would have improved over the last 3 decades, but it's still
Right.
a pretty heavily male dominated field in terms of engineering, and particularly in the electric utility space and manufacturing.
I
Um,
bet.
but anyone, I mean, my advice to people is, the space is wide open, right?
Right.
Manufacturing, utility is super wide open. Here's what you need to do: be smart, hardworking, be collaborative, right?
Ask
Um,
questions.
ask lots of questions, and I have some little word plays here. Be assertive but not aggressive. Um,
Nice.
friendly but not flirty, right?
Yes. I
Humble,
love
not
that. We need to
haughty,
write those down.
right? And humble, not haughty, and just freaking work your tail off, right? So I like
Yeah.
to say, don't, be
Yeah.
great where your feet are. I've heard that said before. What your job is today is the job that you need to excel at, and
Yeah.
don't worry about the next one. If you're doing a great job where you are today, those opportunities will come find you. You won't have
Show
to go
up
find them.
every day and work hard.
That's right.
I mean, it really boils down to what our parents did,
Yeah,
100 years
it's
ago.
still
Show
true
up
today,
every
right?
day and work hard. Yeah.
Show up, show out, right? So
Yes, yes. So one of the things that I think is important hearing from somebody like you in the role that you're in is, a lot of our audience are entrepreneurs, they're owners, they're executives, but then we have a good percentage of women who are just looking for the next step.
Mhm.
And we'd love to hear your biggest challenges and opportunities that you've had as the vice president of AFL. And maybe tell us we all need this wisdom. How do you navigate that? How do you make it a simpler process for you? Or how do you just go about your day and
Mhm.
fill it with positive things when sometimes it's not a positive day?
Right. It's definitely a great question, and the things that you think are going to be your challenges sometimes aren't. Let me just, I think of current
Mm-hmm.
challenges in my two T's that I think about every day: tariffs and time. Tariffs were not a thing when I was talking about this role originally with my now manager, but they certainly became a thing, and they're not something that I would say are adding a ton of value to AFL. In fact, probably doing the opposite. But we can't ignore them, right? So just because
Mm-hmm.
things don't add value doesn't mean you can turn your back on them.
Right.
Um, so that's a challenge for us right now. It's not just me, it's the entire organization. Like we're having to stand up programs to figure out how we track this and justify it to our customers who rightfully don't want to pay it either, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's a challenge for us. And guess what it does? It eats into my time, which
Yeah.
time is a thief, right? It
Yes.
sneaks away from us and takes opportunities away. So I'm always looking for little wisdom bits from people who are like have time hacks or life hacks that they like to share. So if anyone wants to send me any of those, I would love to hear what those some of those might be. Like one of my friends recommended the Microsoft To Do, which is a great little like almost like a little repository for where you put all your to-do lists because I'm a sticky note, like I have a sticky note right here right now with something I need to do. So if for anything like that, I'm open to it. But those are my biggest challenges right now, and I think just being a good steward of my time. Most importantly, I want to give my time to my team. And give them a voice so that they understand that they're heard and that there's a lot of transition going on at AFL as we're growing like crazy. So it
Yeah.
creates opportunity, but it also creates stress for the organization. So how do I allocate the appropriate time to my team so that they feel appreciated, informed, uh,
Yeah.
you know, aware of how the things that are changing are going to impact them. So
Mm-hmm.
those are my two biggest
That's a
challenges at the moment.
great leader. But that all the things that you mentioned just speak volumes to being a great leader. But I need to know something about you personally because we can be great leaders, right?
Yeah.
And we know what to do for others, but how do you take care of you and the stress levels that you walk in the door at home with? Like
Yeah.
I'd love for women to hear that. We don't talk about it enough
Mhm, mhm.
because we are workers and we
Yeah.
want to do the things and we want to get it done so we can go home. But when we go home, it's still in our head. We're not able to compartmentalize. So how do you handle that stress?
Yeah, it is a challenge, and my husband he's pretty patient. He lets me kind of vent just a little bit, and I'll say, if you just let me get this off my chest, we won't talk about it again. And he knows enough to know the players and the names and the situations, and he plays along. But then I actually do think I have an ability to turn it off, which is a gift. Maybe a skill that I've developed over the years. But when I'm home, especially on the weekends, like I'm not checking my phone all the time. If there's a safety crisis or something that I need to be aware of,
Yeah.
someone will text me or call me, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm not reading emails all weekend. Like that'll let
Good.
me know. So
Good for
that'll
you.
it'll be. I guarantee you, it'll be there Monday, right? So
Yes.
I will let it
Good
wait.
advice.
So I do try to have downtime. I love I'm a Christian, so I go to church and I love to worship, and that's a release for me. So
Mhm.
and just have my family close by. So my
Yeah.
in-laws live nearby, and my mom lives nearby. So good time, good opportunity to just kind of not talk about work, right? So
Yeah.
generally, when I'm not at work, I'm not talking about work.
Nice.
Yeah,
Gosh, what a great advice. When you're not at
yeah.
work,
Don't talk about
don't
work.
talk about work and don't think about work.
Yeah.
So you're a total rock star.
Yeah.
Oh
Really.
wow.
Great leader.
I am
Great
a
leader.
simple girl from Chester, South Carolina, grew up in a small town and, just been given many opportunities because I worked my butt off, I would say. So,
Yes. Well, the energy is looking bright. The energy
Yes.
sector is looking bright because of you, and we need to keep pushing the needle forward. Tell our audience how, if they were interested in EFL, AFL in any capacity, how
yeah.
would they get a hold of you or your team to let them know they like to know more about AFL?
Yeah, so we can be found on all social, right? So our website is aflglobal.com. We are on LinkedIn. I'm out on LinkedIn. You can look me up. I have a pretty unusual name. There's not many Donda Bishops out there, so find me. I'm happy to chat with you there. Instagram, Facebook, we have some information, so follow us there. And then if anybody wants to get in touch with me, particularly, probably LinkedIn is the best way, or my email, which is donda.bishop@aflglobal.com.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to throw a plug in here, and I just want to say a big thank you from Women Confidence Builders. The
Yeah.
AFL and Donda and her team constantly support Women Confidence Builders, where we're building confidence in women, students and women across our communities. And we just appreciate them. When we need scholarships, they are so gracious to be able to hand those out for us to be able to give to those girls that are not only leading their studies, but they are leaders in their classes. So I think that is just commendable, and we can't thank you enough. However, Angela, Donda, it was great to just speak with you all today. We'll catch you next time. Keep building, innovating, and keep shining. Thank you
Awesome.
for being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ladies. You made it so fun. Thank you so much.